I just want to follow up on what was happening with the photographer's laptop in Auckland. He had problems on, when was it, Tuesday, and we sent gear up to him yesterday. Do you know if they've received it and set it up for him?
Yeah, Chris, they received it last night around about 4 o'clock and swapped over the hard drives.
What's come to the broken unit? Has that come back down here for repair?
No, that's in Auckland.
Clearly, I can't hear it on the phone normally. And she's writing down everything, and I'm matching the bits I'm hearing with the bits that she's writing, so that I'm following the conversation. That way I can make it seamless as possible for the other person.
After work, Chris works voluntarily as Public Affairs Manager for the Hearing Association.
I enjoy it because it's a challenge, and there are so many areas of life where people with hearing loss are missing out.
One of their campaigns is against the high cost of hearing aids.
The ones I'm wearing at the moment are about $2,500 each, so that's $5,000 worth of gear there. These hearing aids here are about double that. And people who are on limited incomes can't afford that sort of money. Yeah. The government provides subsidies for people who are in work or in education, or who are caring for dependent people, normally children or adults. But if you don't fall into that bracket, you don't get any more funding apart from $198 per hearing aid. Probably the fundamental thing I found was not so much grief, but regret, a sense of loss. I used to be able to lie in bed and hear the clock on the bedside table going tick, 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 and now I can't hear that. Then I found that I couldn't hear the indicators in the car. You get a feeling of, oh damn, I used to be able to hear that.
Chris is booked to undergo a cochlear implant operation later this year.
Probably the one thing I'm looking forward to more than anything else is being able to have a conversation in the dark.
Our last story of the day also highlights the need for better services for the deaf community.
The Bay of Plenty Deaf Association has been developing a program to assist deaf Māori.
30% of deaf New Zealanders are Māori. Stephanie Arfetto is a woman in demand. She lives in Hamilton, but travels all over New Zealand for work. Stephanie is New Zealand's only qualified trilingual interpreter, able to interpret between New Zealand Sign Language, Māori and English. So your involvement is quite full on and you need to travel a lot. Why is it so important for you to be involved in the program?
I think it's important for myself because of where I came from and my involvement with the Māori deaf community. I think for myself I want to be there because I can help and support Māori deaf.
It is estimated that over 30% of the deaf community are Māori, but with only one qualified trilingual interpreter that can translate between Māori, English and Sign Language, it has been really difficult for Māori deaf to access their culture. Māori Signs only came into being in 1991.
I think I've got it.
Until then, there was no way of accurately communicating many Māori concepts and aspects of culture. There was no sign for tangi, iwi or hapu. The Māori signs for these concepts are quite different to the signs for English words that mean something similar.
You can just fill in, remember what we did with the Powhiri process where we took you guys through the steps?
Stephanie has joined Lawrence and Patrick Thompson to develop workshops called WHAIAO, Into the Light. The workshops are for deaf Māori, their friends and whānau. The teachings involve both Māori concepts as well as signs, because many deaf Māori are unfamiliar with Māori culture itself.
Right, Karen is the program coordinator, I think would be the best way to describe it. She's the one that's responsible for all the organising, administration, copying the program, and really just making sure it's delivered following our learning outcomes.
Okay, so wātaka tū. In the first instance, the programs are about cultural identity. So it's about encouraging Māori deaf to find out who they are, where they've come from, so that they are able to be more confident in themselves, in community, and they feel comfortable in standing tall with who they are as people.
For the Waikato, Patrick's role is as one of the tutors. He co-tutors with another woman who can hear.
No, that's right. That's why we had to move the date.
How will the Māori deaf who take part in this program, how will they benefit?
The aim of the program is to give them some skills to be able to start the journey for themselves. It's about giving them a little bit of information about what it means to be Māori. I think with that, it motivates them to go on and to learn more about themselves. It takes them back to where they're from as well. And it starts linking them back with their whānau, which is, for a lot of Māori deaf, they don't have that. They're not connected. So I think this is one connection they're starting to make.
Yeah.
So we now know that there's a lot of planning being done. The program's already been a big success in the Bay of Plenty. Now I'm going to follow Stephanie to a workshop in Auckland and see what it's all about. The workshop begins with a Powhiri. How does this affect how they grow up?
Well, not being deaf myself, I can only share with you what I've learnt since I've been on this journey, and that is they have grown up very isolated within their whānau. They've grown up protected, which has meant that when they go out into the community or into social environments, it's very difficult for them to interact and to communicate with other people, whether that be deaf or hearing.
During the workshops, Stephanie interprets for tutors Patrick Thompson and Marapaya Dunn. Stephanie is interpreting both Māori and English into sign language. Patrick is signing in a combination of Māori and English.
You'll notice that as a man I didn't witty as much, I just stood there.
In your time as a trilingual interpreter, what changes have you noticed in Māori deaf?
The Māori deaf community are very, very confident now. I mean, I've been interpreting on the marae for about 10 years, started in 1997. And what I've seen in that time is Māori deaf coming to the forefront saying that we've got the right to stand here and speak as well as our other Māori who can hear.
Ka haere tonu, ka whai tētahi atu huarahi, ka kimi tētahi atu maramatanga.
But the biggest hindrance to Māori deaf accessing their community is the lack of interpreters.
Trying to get trained trilingual interpreters has been very difficult. We don't have a lot of promotion going on out there at the moment, so we're still quite dependent on what we've got, which limits our access to information in tikanga. Answer these questions.
It's about being prepared. If you know you're going to go, then, and you want an interpreter, then you go to the marae or you ring up and say, hey, we've got an interpreter.
In the 10 years that I've been working as a trilingual interpreter, the demand has risen. And you can't meet the demand if you don't have enough interpreters. And I'm only the one qualified person out there at the moment. And in order for Māori deaf to learn about their culture and have the right to access Te Ao Māori, they need more interpreters. It's just the way it's got to be.
It was great to see other trainee interpreters at the workshop.
And hopefully next time we reach a wider audience and it goes like that till that we have 50 here for one wānanga. That would just be awesome.
They've become like a whānau. The Māori deaf community become like an extended whānau. And you can't just walk away from that. So I suppose I'm stuck there for life, really.
We have often struggled to get interpreters for filming, so we can empathise with the deaf community.
Yeah, I think everybody's faced frustrations trying to access services. But we'd like to know about it. Write in and tell us about it. You never know, we might be able to do something about it. The website, disabilitytv.com.
That's right, didn't you have a problem with taxis recently, Kurt?
Yes, I was waiting for 2 hours. I was abandoned, it was cold, everybody had left me from the office.
Attitude was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.